Today we finished most of our interior walls. We have it all. Everything we did, we screw off as we go, so we could just leave it behind us and move on. And Jasper also put our first coat of roof paint on. Sometimes you cut a piece of drywall an inch short, and if that's the case, it's okay. You can just cut it back to the next stud if you have space. But that's basically it.
Work together. Work as a team. Divide and conquer. Good morning. Today we are going to be using, first and foremost, a mask. You need your pry bar for when you're doing your bottom row on the walls of your drywall. Your blade, impact with the drywall bit for your screws, oscillator for your cuts on the drywall, your rasp for rasping, and then if you're doing HVAC today, you're gonna need your 2.5-inch dozer and your 1 1/4. And you also need a drywall square.
Well, we're running our head pressure test right now for our ABS. Looks like we don't have any leaks right now, but we have to let that pressure sit in our pipe for 15 minutes. We checked our cold water line again, and there seems to be a leak down below, so we're gonna jack the house up, get underneath, and see what the problem is.
We're doing an air pressure test on the water lines. We got to get it up to 90 psi, and then we wait for 10 minutes. Make sure there's no leaks. What time you got?
8:20.
8:20.
Yeah, well, it's not dropping so far, so that's good.
Not dropping?
Yeah.
Well, it looks like you got your leak fixed. You hope.
I hope. Don't jinx me.
All right, I'll be back in 10 minutes.
All right.
We'll check the pressure. So we're doing a water pressure test on the ABS lines. We've got 10 foot of what we call head pressure. And that vent stack that runs up through the roof is full of water. And we've left it on for 15 minutes and we have no water leaks. So we're gonna drain the pipe. Go turn the water off and disconnect the hose, and then I'll drain this line.
Looking good. That's what we want then.
Yep, no leaks, so we know that all their fittings have been glued and the glue is holding. So it looks good. We did the washer already this morning, and that passed already, so we're looking good.
So on these things, Dan, no cutting corners. Like, it's got to be perfect.
It's got to be perfect. We can't have any air leakage on the water lines. We're doing it at 90 psi, which is a lot of pressure. But then we know for sure that all their crimp fittings are good, and once we put water to it, we'll be fine.
What does this teach the students as they go through Ideal? I mean, because things have to be done the right way, right?
Exactly. Everything has to, as a way to be done, and a purpose, and a way we and a purpose on the way we do it. So the same thing is going to happen out in the field. If they get out in the field, they're going to have to do water tests on all their water lines before an inspector will inspect it. Same with the pressure tests on the ABS lines. Everything has to be water tested, because you don't want leaks later on in a house, or in this case, this modular unit. But they've done a good job. They had a small leak in one of their lines from a nail that had bent the wrong way when they were shooting down the bottom plate. But we caught it and everything's fixed. That's why we do the test. I'm going to go ahead and let the water out of this now. Is that disconnected? So we have a valve on this that will disconnect the water. Well, it should be dumping water now. Yeah, that pipe should be draining. Yeah. Once the water's all out of the vertical stack, then we'll disconnect the hose and take our little balloon that we have in there that keeps the water from running down out the bottom.
Yeah, we passed all of our plumbing tests. We've passed all of our head pressure tests for our ABS, which those are going to be air vents. So right now, I'm gonna drop our house back down because I had to jack it up to get underneath to pull this line out that had a nail in it. So now I'm just gonna lower it and take the blocks out I put so it'll be re-leveled. It's important to do everything right and try and not cut corners when you fix stuff, even if it's something simple like when you go to crimp a little bit of your ring sticking out, because you want to make sure that you have equal pressure all around your crimp ring. And that's important because if you don't, you're probably going to have to go back and re-crimp it again because you'll find a leak. Yep, so now we're all re-leveled. Should be good to go to start insulating our shower.
Talk to me. What are you going to start doing here? Insulation?
Yeah, we just passed all our plumbing tests, so now we're going to start insulating our plumbing wall. Get ready to start hanging some drywall.
I just drilled my holes for my condensate and my refrigerant and communication lines. This PVC pipe is going to go about about to right here. You want to get that on there? Yeah, right here. It's going to go like meet this about an inch underneath the mud pan. Then it's going to actually take a 90-degree turn rather than the 45 we were doing before. This is the correct way to do this. So yeah, I'll just put them together, stick it out there. Then I'll run we don't have the template yet for our mini split, but I'm going to just run the refrigerant line somewhere over here.
Right now we're trying to make this piece over the doorway fit, and the problem again is just the camber and the wood, so the eye joists that we're screwing our ceiling into, they're just sitting a little bit differently. So right here you could see that no matter where you put it, if you put it flush with this end, there's a gap at the top. If you put it flush with the top, there's a gap down here. So we're gonna go ahead and put this piece on first, and then shave this piece down and snug it up to where it can slide in. Because what we're trying to do is make the least amount of mudding for us, because that's super time consuming, and the more mud, the more sanding.
So this is complete now. What we have is 3 feet of communication line sticking out from this part of the mud pan. We have 6.5 inches sticking out from the bottom of the mud pan of both of these supply lines. They're strapped in and secured in 2 places. Our condensate line is 2 inches below the mud pan. Let's see what else. What you need for your holes is a 2.5-inch dozer and a 1 1/4 for the left and the right.
Right now we just finished putting up this butt wall. It didn't take too long. This one's really easy. It's just 4 cuts. It should probably take about 30 minutes. So how we started in our top left corner, or for you guys it's wherever you started your layout. And what we did is we put this sheet up first, and we tacked the corners, and we marked down to where we knew the center of our HVAC would have been. And then we just used our multi-tool, notched out a little square. Then we shoved our hand down, felt around, see how much we had to go. And then we slowly just worked this square bigger. And once we hit the edge of our mud pan, we took our oscillator to the outside. And then we were able to suck it down. It worked pretty good. So after you pass your pressure test on both your ABS, your head pressure test, and your air test on your PEX lines, and you can go ahead and insulate your shower. But we're not going to put any drywall on these 3 walls in the shower because we're putting green board. It's a water resistant drywall type of board. So we're waiting for that to come in. But while we're waiting for that, we can go ahead and finish our insulation on all of our interior walls and this by wall. Yep, Jasper's up finishing our roof coating right now. And while he does that, I'm gonna do as much of the drywall as I can by myself. Just the small parts. Is that a nail? Or not. The parts by myself.
Now this is where you said hold on to all those scrap pieces because you never know when those scrap pieces are gonna...
Yeah, this is, so I'll show you what I do with these.
So I'm almost done putting on my first coat of roof coating paint. It is going on a little differently with this new paper. I'm finding that it's going to be easier for me to do 3 thinner coats rather than 2 heavier coats, just because of the way that it's adhering to this paper. I think it seems like it's a better product.
Right now this is hanging over a little bit, so I'm just sanding it flush because we're getting ready to put up our first piece on our hallway. So I don't want it would be visible if you step back, so I'm just gonna sand it down until it's flush. I just threw a block in right here, right next to my cripple studs. Why? Because we ran our drywall all the way out to our king trimmer and our cripple. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna throw a block in so we can run a full sheet from here all the way down to the outside of our hallway.
So I just went around and cleaned off the drip edge while the paint was still wet. Makes it easier to clean up. We can't leave the paint drips on there because it shows up through our finished paint. So it's important to get it off while the paint's still wet. It makes it a lot easier. Today went good. We got a coat of paint on the roof. We were able to hang up the majority of our interior drywall. We'll be moving into the bathroom tomorrow. And then we'll be ready for the green board as well. I think that's all we did today.
The drywall process has gotten started. What they're doing is hanging all the sheetrock. They got most of the ceilings and walls hung in here. They've got to finish up the closet walls. And then they have to wrap sheetrock around the windows and then put their corner bead, their outside corners on to make a nice square edge around the windows. So they did real good. They've got everything hung in this room and nailed off. The closet's almost done. Looks like they've got all the walls done. They also put in their air conditioning lines in their cable, and they have a condensate line in there also. So they got all that in today before they did their drywall. And then over here, they did the hallway. They've got it down to here, and they basically what they've got left is just the bathroom. And they'll have waterproof sheetrock in the shower area, and then everything else is just standard sheetrock in here. But it looks good. They had a great day. It's challenging for everybody when you're new at hanging sheetrock. They got a couple spots they got to fix, but otherwise they did good. Real happy with how it looks. And then around our doors, what they're going to end up doing here, we trim this out with what we call a little jam extension. And then the door casing will butt to that. We use a piece of 3/4 inch here, and then your casing will go to that, kind of like making a door jamb. So they got to do that all the way around the door. Otherwise, it looks good. Real happy with the work today.